What's happening, Hardscapers? We're here today on a new job. It's a small backyard patio. There's a lot going on with this construction of this job that has me wanting to do a job site analysis video with you, a walkthrough of what we're looking through when we're quoting a job, what goes into that before the whole construction process goes, so it's a seamless process. So let's take you along.
Before we start a project, we have several variables that we need to consider in order to propose a design that will meet the functional needs and aesthetic appeal for our clients. No matter the size or scale of a project, these variables always need to be considered, and they are what dictates not only the elements that a design will include, but also the pricing of that project. The first one is slope, and this decides whether we can build a patio on the existing grade after the base has been prepared, or if we need to build a raised patio or even a retaining wall to be able to flatten an area to provide us with the ability to build a patio. We measure the slope starting from the foundation to the end of the patio or project to decide on our plan. We build our patios at 1/8 of an inch per foot to 1/4 of an inch per foot slope. So if the slope of the existing grade is more than this, we may need to consider alternatives beyond building up the portion of the yard where the patio will end or lowering the existing grade at the foundation. Both of these solutions can only be made slightly, as lowering the existing grade at the foundation will eventually expose the waterproofing membrane, or building up a slope to the patio to meet the pavers will cause future problems with the base eroding and pavers sliding off. See this job site for example. We could not build a patio on this existing grade because of that slope coming from the fence line. In order to build a patio in this backyard, we needed to address this, so we constructed a retaining wall to eliminate that slope, flattening the area and allowing us to build a patio with a minimal slope to the back of the yard where water can be collected into the swale.
You'll see that this slopes towards us nicely, so we've got a good 1/8 of an inch per foot slope coming away from us, but you'll see that it slopes and then it really drops off in this area. So we got to do something about that along the fence line to be able to raise that up a bit, because we're not going to sink everything down to this level. We want to be at this level underneath that deck and then meeting these stairs. So that's our slope. Our slope point starts in that corner so that we can meet these stairs. We don't want to start down here, because starting down here and meeting those stairs is too steep of a slope. So that corner in the top left sets our slope nicely to meet these steps, which means we need to do something along this fence line to be able to raise this so that we can build nice, even, level patio going across, but sloping coming away from the foundation.
And that brings us to the next aspect that we need to consider. Drainage is incredibly important to any project. We need a plan for what to do and where to direct water in any project. Water will cause all sorts of issues on backyard projects. We want to ensure that water is not building up near any foundation and that we are not flooding neighbors' yards. Beyond the basic slope of a minimum of 1/8 of an inch per foot for patios away from the foundation, what we do is evaluate where that water needs to be taken to. We want to direct that water to the lowest points in that property, which is typically a swale between two properties or at the back of the yard. Additionally, you need to be able to find where water comes down from structures, including the house through downspouts, and decide what you will be doing with that water. This can sometimes mean running water through a French drain towards a swale or the lowest point.
That drainage pipe, we don't want that spilling onto our patio, and that has to come into the backyard. So we're going to actually dig a trench down where we're going to build up this area with a curbing stone. We only really need a few inches there, so we're going to opt for a curbing stone as opposed to a wall, and then that drainage pipe is going to go slightly deeper than the curbing stone and into a perforated pipe, kind of like a French drain, and running below the patio along that curbing stone along this fence line and drain out nicely into this sloping yard.
Access is incredibly important when quoting a project. In our business, we run into a lot of tight access situations. This means that we are not going to be able to get our equipment into a backyard, so we will likely opt for a paver base panel installation in order to reduce the amount of excavation and base preparation needed. We always take a measurement between houses and at gates to ensure we can get the right piece of equipment necessary for that project and price that accordingly. In some cases, you can remove a portion of the fence if you're able to access a project from an alternative route, but this would also need to be priced into the project.
We're going to start here with access. As you can see, there's no way we're getting a machine back here and down to where we're going to be constructing. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to use a sod cutter in a synthetic base. From this patio, we're going to have a stepping stone walkway coming along here, and that's going to work out perfectly to actually match where this will be stepping up into this area to the gate. Nothing wrong here with the slope, especially with stepping stones. The only problem, once again, is this downspout. We are, as you can see, we have our perforated PVC pipe. It's going to run below everything as the French drain would and out into our yard, sloping away.
And finally, obstructions are a major part of managing a client's expectations during the design process. For example, trees can present a major problem during and after a construction process because of their root systems. Knowing where these trees are in proximity to where you will be building and what their likely root systems would extend to will help you explain to your client that you may run into roots during the excavation phase and explain to them your process if this does happen. Additionally, beyond the construction phase, you would need to explain to them that there is a possibility of these roots growing further and heaving portions of a project. Letting your clients know this information will help them understand the possibilities further, as opposed to getting a phone call later on from a surprise client. Underground structures and utilities are another obstruction that you need to consider. You should always call a public utility locates prior to excavation, though private utilities are not included in these locates. During the initial consultation, you can discuss any of these private locates that you would need to be aware of. You can also see whether or not there would be any problems with visible utilities such as gas meters around where you would be excavating, though the majority of useful information when excavating will come after the public utilities have been located. These four aspects are all taken into consideration when first meeting with a client and discussing a project. Knowing these four variables and explaining the solutions that you have in mind for clients will help position yourself as an expert when speaking to them. There are further aspects of a project that you will need to consider in order to develop a quote, such as the product and installation method you'll be using. Additionally, knowing things like the subsoil type will also help in establishing a plan of excavation and base preparation for a project, though these first four are specifically for the site analysis portion of a project that you are preparing to quote for. If you want to learn more about what we look for in the pre-construction process, you can click the link in the description that'll take you to an article we wrote on this subject. Additionally, if you want a checklist of what to look for on a pre-construction meeting, you can join our email newsletter and you'll get access to that for free. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, leave a comment below and make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more hardscaping videos.